Welcome, everybody, to Extraordinary Men's Network. We are joined today by Coach Andre. How are you doing today, sir?
I'm doing pretty good. How you doing?
Yeah, wonderful. Fun. Yeah, I'm extraordinary, I might even say. Doing extraordinary. So, yeah,
Awesome.
welcome to the group. You're one of our newest members, and it's an honor to have you here. And I'm so glad that you took the chance, to give us a try and see what we're doing over here. I hope it's I hope it's helpful. And I I invited you here because I looked at your profile and I thought this is a guy that has something to share. And I feel like the more men share, the more men hear and get inspired to share themselves. And I think that's where the magic really happens when we speak from our own experience, and other people can be aware of not being alone, not being the only one who's having that experience, right? So I really respect that you're here and you're on with me. Would you like to give us a little introduction about who you are and what you do?
Well, I'm working on a new introduction. Hi, my name is Coach Andre Grant, and I am recovering from severe knuckleheadism. If you don't know what that is, and it just means that I have a tendency to do stupid stuff. I don't know if you know how that is, but I tried the 12 steps, but it that monster still tries to raise its head. And but I go by what one of my mentors, Jim Rohn, says. He says, "Don't uh, wish that things are easier. Wish that you get better."
I love that. I love that. Yeah, Jim Rohn. Yeah, he I enjoy deeply watching his content a lot. So we are the Extraordinary Men's Network, and it's not about being a superhero. It's about rising to the challenges, hopefully. And I wonder if you could speak a little bit to maybe extraordinary situations you've had possibly in your life.
Well, which ones do you want to hear? I can sit here for hours and and tell you all kinds of different things. I guess I could start with when I was a kid, unless there's something else you want me to
No,
share about.
there's no agenda here. Share as you wish.
Like I was saying before, I have a tendency to do stupid stuff, and a lot of times it's when life is going crazy, uh, and that just doesn't help when you're trying to make things right, unless you are training yourself to be more of the person that you want to be. I'm working a lot on uh, learning what my goals and dreams are, and actually more. I know what my dreams and goals are. I'm working on more how to present to others how they can do the same thing, and it's very exhilarating and exciting at the same time. I have um, uh, been through many different types of things. Like when I was a child, I got started smoking pot and drinking liquor from the guy who abused me for 5 years of my childhood, from the age of 5 to 10. And he beat it into me that I would never amount to anything. And they say that for one negative comment to be said to you, it takes seven positive ones in order to turn that around and get you to a point where you can actually think of something positive and believe in something positive outside of that negative comment. And I was beat for 5 years into the fact that I would never amount to anything. And so I went down this path, this dark path, as I got older. And there towards the end, before I started, uh, decided that I wanted to change my life around, I was in the Navy and I was drinking about a case to a case and a half a day, plus Tanqueray gin and Jack Daniels as chasers. And, uh, you know, I had a choice of either getting a dishonorable discharge or going to rehab, because when you're drinking that much, I don't think there's anybody who can, put out anything but garbage. So I was just basically a piece of garbage at the time. And don't get all freaked out on me, because I don't look at myself that way now, obviously, because I have goals and dreams of being able to help other people. In fact, I have helped many people through the years in different ways. Some were really, in depth, me helping them see things a different way, and others were just pointing them in the right direction. Sometimes we don't have to be that person, but we have to be that person that will be there for that person. Is that, if that makes sense? And if it means just directing them and showing them, I've introduced guys to pastors. A guy that I met that tried to commit suicide the night before, and introduced them to the pastor at the church I was going to at the time. And in 3 days, I watched this darkness over this guy lift up and just see nothing but light in him. It was just an amazing experience. That was one of my first times ever doing something like that. And the only reason I was able to do something like that, because of where I came from, was there was a man that came to me shortly after I started going to church and started really deciding to serve God. I had already been in the 12-step program for a year, so I'd already started working on myself. But when I got here, this one minister of the homeless people, he came up to me one day and he says, because he had me share my story with him. He said, if you work through that stuff, you can turn around and start helping others with the same or similar problems. And so that became my goal from that point on. And it was an extremely hard, crazy, but fulfilling journey that I've been through in the last 30 years. It's been 30 years. I was uh, going back a little bit, back to that time where I had the choice of either getting a dishonorable discharge or going to rehab. I chose to go to rehab. And then the rehab that they use in the military, the first thing they do is they do blood tests. And it was, my mind was still really in a fog, so I didn't really fully comprehend at the time what my problem was. But I was 21 years old and they were telling me I had the beginning stages of cirrhosis. Yeah, but between trying to do the right thing and trusting in God, here I am today, 53 years old, you know, and I know that with what he's done in my life, being that half the time I look at myself and I'm like, who are you? you know, and so if he could do it with somebody like me, I know he can do it with somebody like you or anyone else who might be even watching this video or questioning whether anything's possible, anything good can come out of you. I'm telling you, yes, there is something good that can come out of you. It may take a little bit of work, but you know the truth is something good can come out of you.
I mean, that is, sorry, that is extraordinary, Andre. That, I mean, what a what a gift, and an amazing thing to do, to be able to help somebody, help people, not somebody, multiple people like that. It's incredible. And thank you for doing it, and thank you for being here and sharing what you've gone through. and that you came through it, right? That you and not only came through it but thrived after it. I
Yeah,
really
I'm
respect
thankful.
and appreciate your honesty and vulnerability for that. It's yeah, it's I knew there was a reason why we somehow got connected, because we don't know each other. I've never met you, but there was a reason to get in touch with you
Yes.
and have you here. And now I know. Now I know what it is. It's clear as day. And thank you for that. You mentioned a choice between, say, dishonorable what was the choice? Sorry, discharge.
It was a choice between a dishonorable discharge and rehab. What happened there was I got in trouble twice. Well, one time I was supposed to be on watch and I was drunk. The second time, the however, that situation was a little bit different because the first time uh, we were getting ready to go on Westpac. You, and I don't know if you guys know anything about the Navy or anything, but uh, at least once a year they go out on a 6-month deployment, and different squadrons. I was in aviation, so I was part of a squadron, a airplane squadron, and we were getting ready to go on deployment. And because I was new and a couple other guys in the squadron were new, we were chosen to make sure that all the offices and all that stuff were all clean before we left, because we have to move everything out of the space that we were in the hangar bay, with the offices and all that kind of stuff. So we had to make sure everything was cleaned up and packed up and everything like that. We were up for 3 days straight. I mean, literally 3 days straight, maybe with a couple hours of sleep, just sitting on a bench, just like that. And when our LPO, or the supervisor, came in, he told us that he noticed that a couple of us were supposed to be on duty, and he was gonna get us taken off the day that we finished and got off. Well, he didn't do that for me, and I ended up remembering some buddies and I, had a few beers, and we'd already gotten out to the gate of the base, and I remembered, oh man, I'm supposed to be on watch, and so I called the officer on duty, and sure enough, I was still scheduled to be on duty that night. So not only was I on duty, but I was supposed to be on standing watch that night. And so that was the first time I got in trouble. And we had just received a new XO into our command from the East Coast, and I was in San Diego. And he lashed me out. He was a gold leaf commander in the United States Navy. And the last thing he said to me was, "I don't want to see you in my office again for this type of issue." Well, 3 days later, there I was. And the only thing he said to me was, "I thought I said I didn't want to see you in my office for this." And he said, "Get out of my office. You're going to captain's mess." And captain's mess is the military's equivalent of going to DUI court. And for me, it was a DUI because it was a drinking related incident. And part of the process of that is they send you over for an evaluation. I went to the evaluation. At that point, I'm glad you brought this up, because it's gonna, help, I think, really drive the idea home. Is right before I went to evaluation, I was walking across the base, and it was like everything around me just completely changed. So basically, I don't know what your belief is, and I hope this doesn't freak too many people out, but I was in a vision, okay, and I was sitting in the back seat of a car, and I was looking around, and there was nobody around. But then I looked up into the front seat, where in the driver's seat, and there was nobody there. And so I leaned over and I looked over and I saw a beer can sitting in the driver's seat. And I went to go try and grab the steering wheel, and the seatbelt strapped me back, pulled me back, and held me down. And this realization that alcohol had taken over my life had just hit me so hard. It made me realize that, and up to this point, I didn't think I was going to live past the age of 30, and I was 20 at the time. You know, I was almost going to be 21. I was just about to be turned 21 when I was going through all of this. And even though that was part of the reason my destructive behaviors back then was because, you know, the abuse and everything, and it being beat into me that I was never going to amount to anything. I just lived that I just went down that path of destruction. And I'm one of those people. I'm kind of like the class A personality where I go head first. I don't think about it. I just dive in. And well, I've gotten better at that, but so even at 20 years old, and getting and having that vision and realizing that everything around me was not real because of the fact that alcohol had basically taken over my life, I decided that even if I only have 10 years, this is going to change. And I was also convinced that I was going to die in the process, but I didn't care because I was done. And so when I went to the evaluation after that experience, I just dumped out everything, all the drugs I ever done, uh, uh, all the abuse and everything else, and everything that I could think of. I didn't care anymore. I didn't even care if I got dishonorably discharged at that point. I was done. I didn't know where I was going to go, how I was going to do it, or where I was going to end up. But I just decided that that was it. And but I didn't know how to stop. I was stuck, and there was like 5 or 6 guys, 7 or 8 guys in the squadron that they got together uh, from one of the guys that was in recovery, and he was a first class gold bar petty officer, which means that's the highest level you can get as a petty officer before moving into chief and senior chief and all that stuff. He just never he had decided that he didn't want to go up into the chief arena, basically. But he also had an open door to the skipper or the CO of the squadron. And about a week before I went to captain's mast, he became the petty officer that was in charge of overseeing all the files for alcohol related incidents. They called it the DAPA petty officer. And since he knew that I was, well, let me go back. I didn't finish the story about the 4 guys. What happened was this guy, the new DAPA petty officer, knew about me and wanted to help me because he was already in recovery. He was in the 12-step program, very been sober for like 25 years, and he got some guys together to do an intervention with me, and I had no clue this was going on. You know, one of the guys came up to me and told me that the guy in charge of the tool room was mad at me because I didn't put something away right in the tool room. And so when I got down there, there was like 5 or 6, 7 guys standing around the door next to the tool room, and I'm thinking, oh great, they're getting ready to hee haw me. And so I'm like, okay, what's going on, guys? And they're just like, open the door. He wants to talk to you. And I open up the door, and it was this guy. And he was like 6 feet tall and 350 pounds and all muscle. And I'd seen him in the hallways and stuff. And the guy scared me to death, you know, just looking at him. So when I saw him, I bolted back and it took all 5 of those guys to hold me back, hold me down, to keep me from running. But it turned out he was just a big teddy bear anyway. And he helped me get my first 30 days of sobriety. He Here's a fun fact. He took me to my first AA meeting, and I was so screwed up in the head that when we got there, the first thing that this meeting did is they had guys that had 15 or days or more of sobriety, share that they had it so that they could celebrate it. One guy said that he had 15 days sober. Another guy said he had 30 days sober. And I leaned over to my friend and I said it loud enough for everybody in the room to hear me. Yeah, that's how long they've been broke, huh? Because that, in my mind, that was, and I was joking, but I was serious at the same time because that was the only reason I was sober. It was when I didn't have any money. That's the only time I was sober. And but he elbowed me and of course made me go back after the meeting and apologize to those guys. But yeah, so when I got to the captain's mess, and I'll try to make this short. Uh, I got over there, and the lieutenant who wrote me up, who was uh, wanted me to get uh, dishonorably discharged, and told me so. So was the LPO petty officer that was there before my friend got in there. He wanted me to get discharged. So when my friend got into the office and he opened up my file, he noticed that my evaluation, which was 3 weeks old, had never been opened. So he went straight to the skipper, and I didn't know any of this was going on until after everything was said and done. But he went into the skipper's office and showed him, this guy is going to see you next week, uh, and this evaluation was done like a month ago, and it was never opened. You need to see this. And he opened it up, and then from there, we were on the Abraham Lincoln. It was an aircraft carrier when I went through my captain's mess, and all the officers for the squadron were there, including the new XO, the lieutenant who wanted me to get discharged, and the petty officer that wanted me to get discharged. My supervisor in the aviation electrician shop was there. The senior chief, the master chief was there. And I mean, it was just, it was a whole thing. I'd never been to one, so I thought this was normal. And he gave me the tongue lashing about, how wrong everything was, and told me how he could discharge me if he really wanted to. But before he made a decision, he wanted my peers to say something to me. And he pointed to the lieutenant who wrote me up to say something first. And I was like, oh my God, he's just going to bash me. But to my surprise, he said nothing but good things about me. Also, the petty officer that wanted me to get discharged said nothing but good things about me. And I'm just like, and of course, everybody else that knew me, that I knew, did as well. And that's when he got to the point where he gave me another, you know, he brought me back to the seriousness of the situation, because right at that point it was all gooey feelings and feeling good and all that kind of stuff. And then he brought me back to the severity of the situation and said, you know, normally I would sign off for a dishonorable discharge, but because of what I read in your evaluation and what your peers have said to you, I have another option, but I can't order you to do it. You have to make the choice. And that was the second choice, was to go to the rehab, which is what I chose to do.
That's an amazing story. That's it's incredible how that plays out, right? How all all the pieces that had to come together for it to work out that way, right? Like
Yeah,
it has
because
to
I
me, it has to be something. It has to be a higher power for me to bring that together to get you to that point.
yeah, there's so much. Like I said, I could sit here for 5 hours and share stuff. But as I look back on all that, even though I was, so far away and it had such a heart of rebellion towards God, towards doing the right thing, uh, I can see where everything was really set up. I believe supernaturally. In case there's someone who's listening that doesn't really understand the spiritual side of life, you know, I believe that there is a God, and I believe He's the one that set all this stuff up, because I had really no choice. I had no uh, uh, way to know what else to do. What are a lot of the motivational speakers say? You don't know what you don't know. That's why, like Les Brown says, you can't see the picture when you're inside the frame. That's why you need a coach. You need a mentor that will come in and watch from the outside and point out things that are not going to put you down, but help you lift yourself up. Because when we don't realize that we're doing something that's pulling us down or away from our dreams and goals, then we're not going to accomplish those goals. One of the things is Les Brown also says is that when you want to accomplish your goal, if there's 18 steps you got to take, then and you take 17, you're never going to accomplish that goal. Maybe that 18th step is something that you're not able to see right now at that time. And so it's always good to have somebody, and most of the people for me that told me they could help me were the ones that helped me get down that destructive path. And it's only been recently in the last 2 or 3 years that I've actually found people like Les Brown, uh, Life on Fire, and other people that are like, hey, there's more to life than just surviving or working hard and hoping that things work out for your life. There is a way that you can fulfill your dreams and your goals and your aspirations, because but you don't know that if you don't know that you're not aspiring for that.
Very true. Absolutely. I'm on exactly the same page. Yeah, absolutely. So speaking of, yeah, I mean, you're inspirational, and yeah, such a magnificent representation of what is possible. And I hope anyone who's watching here, I mean, please get in touch. Are you, is it okay for people to find you on Facebook and reach out?
Yes.
How can people find you and get in touch with you?
I can put the link in the chat if you want. Oops. Give me just a second here. Okay, hold on a second. Oh, my computer's acting weird.
It's
Sorry.
okay. I mean, the people can't see the chat anyway, so anything you want to, however people can get in touch with you, I will tag it in this video that's going live in the Facebook community, and they'll be able to contact you directly if that's what it is, your Facebook group or Facebook link or your personal
Okay.
page.
I also have a little sign up form if people want to talk to me personally. I have a little a website, apgrant.com, where you can go and set up a time to talk with me if you want. If you feel like I can help you. If not, that's okay too. It's just something that I wanted to make available so that if somebody, because I know as I grow, people are going to see more of what they want,
Yeah,
right? So,
exactly.
and that's my goal is to help others, one, see more of what they want and help them get there if I can.
That's right. If you want what we have,
Yeah,
come on
come
over.
on over.
That's right. That's right. Absolutely. Well, it's been an absolute pleasure to talk with you today, Andre. And yeah, please do reach out. And you're in the group. You're in Extraordinary Men's Network, so you'll be here. You're in the group, and we're planning more events and more interactive events with where we'll have more people on at the same time and talking. So I really look forward to having you as part of that. And yeah, once again, thank you for being here.
It's been my pleasure. Thank you so much for allowing me to do this. It's been amazing.
You're absolutely welcome. I'll be talking with you again very soon, Andre. Have a great day.
You too.
Bye bye.